And so if somebody's listening to this and they want to invest in these things, do you have a fund for each of these core four assets that somebody get involved in, or is it they could invest in like specific deals, or how do you bring investors into the fold?
We do, assuming we have the capacity, we'll open up to our whole database and we'll
Yeah.
send out the deal. Obviously, I'm pretty much most of the time I'm the biggest investor in the deal with my own cash. I'm putting these things together for myself first.
Right.
And so then I send it out to my investor base. Sometimes if that deal is constrained, there's been years where we only got, say, $25 million allocation. Then I'll send out to my current investors. But it looks like we'll have plenty of room this year. You get on our mailing list, you'll see some of these deals come out, and you'll get a notification when they're available.
And are your deal structures, are you accredited only, or do you also have a 506B where you can get in as a sophisticated, or how does that work for you guys?
All of our deals are 506C, which means we legally can only take accredited investors.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm curious to go back to the Lancaster and what you guys are doing in the local market and how you're engaging the local workforce. Because the other side of my world is recruiting, so I do a lot of work in that space. I'm curious how you started just engaging with the Amish and the Mennonite communities there. And I grew up around them, and I know their work ethic, and so couldn't find a better workforce, especially when you're trying to build stuff.
Yeah, so when you look anywhere in the United States and you see an Amish or Mennonite community, the most likely they originated from either Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, or Holmes County, Ohio.
Mhm.
And so, with deep connections in the Amish community, we know of some of these areas, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we do our research and find a community. I've learned a long time ago, it's a lot more efficient to take the work to where the workforce is than try to ship the workers
Yeah.
to the factory to get your stuff built. And so what we try to do is get behind a community and sometimes finance them, sometimes help them get set up, get started, sometimes do whatever we got to do to get behind them and start producing whatever it is, the asset class, whatever it is that we're producing, whether it's modular horse barns or modular tiny homes or whatever it is. And we tap into these communities and let them help us build and meet the demand that we have. Many times, like I said, a community like that, specifically an Amish community like that, very slow to adapt to any kind of technology. These guys are builders.
Yeah.
So you can understand what that would look like from a marketing perspective and getting out there and reaching your customers. So we're very good at that.
Yeah.
And so we love to bring those kind of two things together, the building part with the marketing part. We go out there and work with them.
Yeah, no, that's super fascinating. And yeah, like I said, great workforce to partner with for sure. We're recording this in early-ish October 2023. I mean, you've been investing for a long time, and it sounds like you've been exposed to a lot of different asset classes across real estate and self-storage and car washes and all that. What's your outlook for the rest of this year? And maybe where do you see large opportunity coming in the next 6, 12, 18 months?
Yeah, so I believe the best opportunity is in business is to go out there and figure out who you can serve and figure out how many people you can serve and really just dig into that. Because when you have a business model that goes out and serves people well,
Yeah.
you're most likely going to be successful. And so we target communities where I don't know how much about the ATM space. Conventional wisdom will tell you that cash is dead and nobody's using cash anymore. I can tell you the people who we're serving, the immigrants, the lower income, the unbanked, underbanked, EBT card carrier, that's our customer. And they survive on cash. So we find those communities and provide that service to them. This thing becomes their bank. This
Yeah.
is how they transact. This becomes their bank. And so we serve those communities in the same way with car wash. I don't know, or self storage. the reason I really started getting interested in the self-storage space back in 2000, whatever, 16 or 17, I saw how self-storage performed in bad times. At the time, I was building a portfolio of multifamily apartments, built up a portfolio of 3 to 4 thousand doors, and I just felt like there was more potential downside than there was potential upside. Now, I started selling in 2019. I left a little meat on the bone,
But
but
still did pretty well, I'd
but
imagine.
yeah, but I was watching his asset class. Self-storage was the best performing asset class coming out of 2008 to 2010. Number
Yeah.
one, it was the least hardest hit negatively on the downside, and it was the best performing coming out of the Great Recession. And same way with 2020 to 2022. You have this asset class that acts almost like a hedge in your portfolio. When things are bad, it's a great time to own self-storage. So
Yeah.
that's what sort of intrigued me and brought me into that. So I saw this unfold, and I wanted an asset class that could get me the stability I was looking for, and when everything else was falling apart around us.